Good evening, I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Haley Harmon, in tonight for Nancy Cox. Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. We've had several scattered showers and storms this afternoon, and we can expect some throughout the rest of the day as well.
Getting pretty heavy. Let's send it over to Bill for a check of what's happening out there. Bill?
We've been watching an area of thunderstorms across northern Kentucky, but a lot of the energy's begun to pool a little bit further to the south, and in fact it pulled in energy from the south. Bottom line is we produced a thunderstorm that has pushed severe limits. This is in the extreme northern part of Fayette County, although really that's going now into Bourbon County at this point. You folks around Paris, you are getting hit hard by the storm at this point. It is raining hard. The lightning is intense. We could be seeing wind gusts 50, maybe a 60-mile-per-hour one on the leading edge. That's a possibility. And that continues then on to the south, hitting Avon right now. Some pretty heavy rain going out there along Winchester Road as well. You're tracking the path of this basically now at Jackstown, Plummet 605. It's also headed toward North Middletown over about the next 10 minutes or so. So for you folks there, be prepared for that storm coming your way. And the lightning, boy, it is intense. Just in that little box there, we've had about 125 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. Thunderstorms also down around Harrodsburg. Kind of skipped over most of Jessamine County. Got another thunderstorm going along the southern part of Fayette County there, not too far from Athens. The northern flank lost a little bit of its oomph, but still a decent storm around Carlisle and back toward Flemingsburg. But again, the storm around Paris is the big player at this point. So here you go with the future track. From 6:30 and beyond, you'll see that clustering of thunderstorms. Torrential rain and lightning, the big calling cards, but a damaging wind gust will remain at least a possibility. We'll continue to track all these, have more for you in a couple of minutes.
Okay, Bill, thank you very much.
To the big story in a moment, but first we're following a developing story in Lexington.
A man, we've learned, has been rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries after an accident involving a lawnmower. It happened at the UPS facility on Blue Sky Parkway. LEX 18's Jacqueline Nye joins us with the very latest.
The Lexington Fire Department says the victim's co-workers were actually able to pull the large mower off of the victim while they waited for the ambulance to arrive here. Firefighters say the mower rolled onto the victim, and at this time it's unclear what exactly the man was doing when that happened. Now, we did see a pickup truck bring the man to the front of the facility where the ambulance was, allowing first responders to put him on a stretcher. We also saw that those first responders put an oxygen mask on the victim. The Lexington Fire Department says that man was taken to the UK hospital with life-threatening injuries. Covering the news in Lexington from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
All right, Jacqueline, thank you. Turning now to the big story, as a manhunt has led federal authorities into Adair County.
They are looking for Sean Richard Christie, who's accused of several crimes and is threatening public officials and a war hero. LEX 18's Michael Burke has the big story at 6.
Not used to this kind of, activity going on in Columbia.
It's certainly not a situation to be taken lightly, and it's happening right in her hometown. But Joe James won't close up shop.
If he was here, he probably is already gone by now. So, and I have confidence in our police that they'll find him if he's still here.
Federal agents have every reason to believe Sean Richard Christie is here. They've been actively searching for him at the Adair-Greene County lines after a truck he allegedly stole was spotted near a home owned by Medal of Honor recipient Dakota Meyer. Christie has made violent threats on social media towards Meyer and numerous public officials, President Trump included. Congressman James Comer is back home from D.C. on summer recess.
And I know they get a lot of threats, and as you said, most of them don't materialize, but this one is code red with Secret Service.
And Mr. Comer would know, as he says his life has already been threatened, and that's just 18 months into his first term in office.
These are some of Kentucky's finest that serve this area, and I know that if they find this person that obviously has mental issues, it will not end well for the criminal.
The hope is that end is nearing. Covering the news in Adair County, Michael Burke, LEX 18 News.
The Scott County man who told police he beat a woman to death because God told him to made his first appearance in court today. Hunter Moore was individually escorted by extra officers into the courtroom. There, his attorney entered a not guilty plea for his client and made it clear they will be requesting a psychiatric evaluation. Police say Moore beat his caregiver, 53-year-old Denise Hamilton, with a baseball bat over and over again because he allegedly heard God tell him to beat the demon out of her. Neighbors on Markham Drive, where it happened, say Moore has always done strange things, including talking to trees.
He'd stand there and he would do a little something on his skateboard, and then explain it to the tree what he did.
Neighbors say a few days before the deadly Georgetown beating, they saw Moore smashing things in the street. He is now in jail on a $100,000 bond. We've learned he is expected back in court August 14th.
The second murder trial for the Lexington native accused of killing her boyfriend in northern Kentucky is scheduled to begin tomorrow. Shayna Hubers is accused of shooting her on-again, off-again boyfriend Ryan Poston inside his Campbellsville apartment back in 2012. A Cincinnati TV station reports jury selection for the trial could take up to 3 days, and opening statements are expected Monday. Hubers claims it was self-defense. In 2015, she was convicted of murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. But that was tossed when a judge ruled one of the jurors should not have been on the jury because of a felony conviction. 3 women charged in connection with an off-duty pizza delivery driver's murder and robbery are cooperating with prosecutors in Franklin County. Jared Banta was shot to death in December of 2016. Police say Victoria Page Young set him up, and Brooke Kennedy and Cameron Montgomery sat in a car next to Banta when he was shot. Young was about to go to trial, but a special prosecutor says he called it off because she, Kennedy, and Montgomery will likely testify against 2 others as part of a plea deal. Krishawn Mays is accused of shooting Banta, and Kendrick Burton is charged with robbery. If you walk or drive through downtown Lexington often, you may have noticed something's missing.
Yeah, those iconic fountains in Triangle Park have been dry for weeks, and that has locals and visitors alike asking why. LEX 18's Tiffany Jackson has the answer.
Ask anyone walking by and they'll tell you it's hard to ignore.
Yeah, the fountains have been off for quite some time. I was kind of curious as to why they've been off for so long.
The rushing water is missed not just by locals.
We actually were staying at the Hilton for that exact reason, because it overlooks Triangle Park, and to not see the fountains on is pretty disappointing.
Lately, the only water on the fountains at Triangle Park is just rainwater. But rain is actually the reason the fountains are off. Officials with the Lexington Center say the fountain's equipment was recently flooded during a storm, so they're waiting on new parts to be installed.
I've seen some men working, I don't know, in the middle there's like a little manhole.
Those who frequent the park say it's not the same without the fountains.
It's very relaxing, and it just kind of eases any kind of stress from work or anything like that. It's very relaxing, but since it's been off, it's just not there anymore.
But they know things like this happen, and they're just happy to hear the water isn't gone forever.
We plan to do an annual trip here, so next time I hope the fountains are up, and I'm sure that they will be, and it's something that, you know, Ben, my dad, and brother could look forward to.
Covering the news in Lexington, Tiffany Jackson, LEX 18 News.
Officials with the Lexington Center say they are working to get the fountains flowing again as soon as possible.
An Indiana man is dead and a woman is fighting for her life following an apartment fire in Christian County. The fire started around 2 this morning at the Woodland Heights apartment complex on Greenville Road in Hopkinsville. Now, according to investigators, 25-year-old David Keys of New Albany, Indiana, died from smoke inhalation. 22-year-old Andra Poole was flown to Vanderbilt University in critical condition. No word yet about what started the fire, but foul play is not suspected.
Weeks after several shots were fired in a Lexington neighborhood, a witness had to call police and have them come remove a bullet from the back of her car.
She didn't realize her car was hit at the time, but hopes this small addition to the investigation will get more dangerous people off the streets. Now, it all started along Hollow Creek Road in Lexington on July 25th. Alexa Helwig has this report.
Just one day after Leah Mason witnessed 4 young men shoot several rounds, she drove away unharmed and didn't think there was any damage to her car. But the next day, she was loading luggage into the back and discovered a bullet.
I was going on vacation. I was going out of town for 12 days on vacation.
Since getting back from vacation, she had to relive that night this afternoon as police came to remove it.
I'm definitely very lucky it didn't come through the tailgate. It would have shot me in my right leg.
The shots fired call was made on July 25th. Mason says she saw 4 men cross Hollow Creek Road, line up next to each other, and then they started to shoot. A recurring trend that Mason and her neighbors are witnessing too often.
My neighbor was just at Broadway this weekend, and he saw a guy get out with a shotgun and shoot out all of the windows out of some other guy's car.
She hopes that even this small addition to the investigation will help get more people using guns for the wrong reasons off of the streets.
People are really selfish, and they don't think about all the unintended consequences to other people, like just people being afraid innocent bystanders getting shot.
Covering the news in Lexington, Alexa Helwig, LEX 18 News.
Kentucky's junior Senator Rand Paul is continuing his diplomatic trip to Russia this week, meeting today with former Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev. Senator Paul described the former leader as a key figure in bringing down the Iron Curtain and restoring ties with the West. Paul added that the two spoke about a number of topics, with an emphasis on the importance of nuclear disarmament. An Anderson County couple's baby just couldn't wait to come into the world. Couldn't even wait to go to the hospital.
So the expectant parents made an unexpected stop that included an unexpected delivery inside their van. That's straight ahead on LEX 18 News at 6.